Hello, everyone. Hello, Flavia. Flavita. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. Hello, Deborah. How are you? Long time no talk. Hello, Isa. What's new, Deborah? How has the new whole thing that you joined worked out? I never got around to actually joining. I should have, but I've been a little bit busy and distracted. But I hope it worked out well for you. The Moments version is worth it. Okay. We'll have to talk about that later. Maybe you can tell me what's different about the Moments. I hate to say it, but I kind of stopped caring about what they do here now because they don't care about what I do here anymore, which is okay. I mean, I'm not trying to sound I don't know. I'm just saying that anything new that pops up on Hello Talk, I don't really pay too much attention anymore. I don't know. Teacher appreciation is at an all-time low overall. Indeed. Yeah. But that's kind of a global problem. And hello, Yusmiri. So what's the topic? There is no topic, really. I mean, these days I'm too busy to put together a bunch of topics and to put together a bunch of material. So I come and I sit here in front of this camera and this microphone, and if you have questions, then I try to have answers. That's the topic. Okay? I seem to be sad today? No, not any more than normal. He is informed. Is it an adjective or is it passive? Well, it's an adjective. It can be an adjective, right? It's a way to describe a person who has information. They are informed, right? Now, could it be something else? It could be, but it depends on the context, okay? Yes, Petulant Plaid, I'm currently, right now, I am simultaneously streaming on YouTube. Every Hello Talk stream I do is also on YouTube. Hello Talk is on this screen and YouTube is on that screen. Thank you, Yusmiri. That's nice of you to say. I just jumped, I haven't even gotten cleaned up today. But thank you, nonetheless. One moment, please. Okay, wait a minute. He is tired, adjective. He is made tired, passive. He has been made tired would be a passive way. He is made tired is possible, but it's a very strange form. You never get notifications on YouTube. I don't know why, Sarah. I don't know how that works. But Sarah, in general, you can usually just, in the morning, Monday through Friday, in the morning, somewhere between 9:30 or today was 10:30, almost 11 actually. So somewhere around 9:30 or 10:30 a.m. my time, that's usually when I'm here. About that time, okay? So I'm not really sure. You might be in my area. Okay, well, let me know. We'll grab some lunch. Hello, Gulzarish. How are you? Hello, Mia. Do I have a channel? Yeah, here. This is my YouTube channel. This is my website. And this is my blog. Air. The word you're looking for is cantaloupe. Cantaloupe. 这是罗马甜瓜，罗马甜瓜，瓜瓜不是果瓜。Next, Do I have a gun? No, I don't have a gun. So many people want to ask that question, but no, not every American does. Actually, I think it's only about 40% maybe who do. I think. I can't remember. It's not as many as you think. How am I today? I'm as well as I can be, Nadia. How can you use the word haunting? Haunting means, well, Alma, let's look at the other form of the word haunted, or to haunt. The basic form of the verb to haunt. It means like a ghost, okay? A ghost that follows you everywhere, and a ghost that is upset with you somehow. They are haunting you, right? Or if you see a house that has ghosts, if you know that there's a house that has ghosts, oh, that's a haunted house, okay? So the word haunting is a word that means like ghostly, okay? And it means like, for example, maybe something from your past, right? Something from your past that you did that's bad. And it still is back there haunting you, right? You did it a long time ago, but it's still there. You still think of it. It still bothers you. It's still haunting you. Okay? So you have to try to imagine that it's about ghosts and something that is following you, and it's full of sadness and despair. That's haunting. Hello, Waleed. Does Hami melon make sense? No, that's not what we would call it. Yeah, cantaloupe. Hello, Nick. Is Hello Talk famous abroad? Not super famous, but, you know, it's a pretty popular app. I would say the best way to say that is it's one of the most popular apps in the world for language exchange. So, yeah, it's not like Facebook or Twitter or you know, TikTok. It's not that big, but it's, if you're learning languages, then maybe you know it. Hello, hello, Day, hello, Vadim. Do we have snow? We don't have snow now, but we will probably sometime in the next few weeks. Is it removed from the streets? Usually, yes. The only time they don't remove it from the streets is if it's really, really bad. But in general, yes, if the snow is coming, they will prep the streets. They'll prepare by putting salt or some kind of a sand or something down on the streets to make the streets less dangerous, and then later they'll come with plows and plow it off the road. Yes, Orlando, hunters do often have guns. That's true. I'm not a hunter, and most people aren't. Most people go to the grocery store to buy whatever they need. Okay, somebody said give me tips for being a fluent English speaker. Okay, I can do that. Here is my tip for being a fluent English speaker. Read my article about the complete guide to fluency. Describe harmony. Well, harmony begins in music. Harmony originally is a musical term. Harmonious. If things are harmonious, In harmony, they are things that work well together. So two notes on a piano that sound good together, those are harmonious notes. They sound good. So if I play a C and an E, a C and an E on a piano, those two notes, they sound really good because I skipped the D. But if I play a C and a D together, they don't sound very good. That's called dissonance or disharmony. So harmony is the idea of things going along well, getting along well, sounding good together, or working well together. Okay, so you could describe a family as having good harmony. If they get along well together, then they are harmonious. Okay, but the original idea comes from music. Harmony is about choosing notes that sound good together. Okay, so if you sing here, I sing here, and those two notes, this note, those two will go together well. That's harmony. Okay? I live in Ohio. So you can't use it as a word like unforgettable, a movie honk. Yeah, you can, but I would say only if the movie was like, for example, like a movie that's really terrible, a movie that's really horrible, that's tragic, that's super, super sad, right? You know, that would be a movie that you could describe as the movie, it haunted me. Or you could say it still haunts me. Okay? Yes. What is my age? I am older than the flowers and younger than the mountains. Hello, Snowylicious. Thank you very much for the gift. Can I please put some light on minimalism? What kind of light do you want me to put on it? You want me to talk about minimalism as a philosophy? The idea of minimalism as a philosophy is very simple. Minimalists do the least. They like the least in everything. So a minimalist would have a very, a house that has not much furniture. We would call that a sparsely furnished house. Sparse means not much, okay? Or you might even call it Spartan. A Spartan house or a Spartan room would be minimalist because the Spartans were a group of people that they were warriors, and they trained by being stoic, which means making your life difficult, because if you make your life difficult when you train, then you're ready for life when it is difficult. So minimalism is just about the least. Okay? If I say I want a minimalist version of this story, it means I want the smallest version you can make. Okay? That's all minimalism is. Hello, Sartaj. Orlando, I lived in Taiwan for 4 years, and I've been to Hong Kong a bunch of times, but I've never been to mainland yet. But one day I'm sure I will. I have friends all over China, almost every city probably at this point. Let's see. I watched movies, videos, and anime in English with English subtitles, and I understand Native Americans well. My main issue is speaking. Okay. My accent. What about to improve your accent? Okay, so the first tip that I will tell you about improving your accent is that you need to have the right goal. Some people, when they're trying to improve their accent, they want to sound like me. And I think you don't need that. I think that's too much. I think it's unnecessary. I think that's a fine goal if you want to have a long-term life goal. Fine. You know, like by the time I'm 90, I want to sound like Teacher Mark. That's okay. But If you want to sound like me next year, I think that's a waste of time. But the right goal for pronunciation is clarity. Clarity, clarity, clarity. So, for example, I was just talking about this the other day. The TV show, The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory. There is a character on that show named Raj. He's Indian. And he has a very thick Indian accent, but it's still very clear. People can understand him. That's my proof that you can have any accent in America and no one cares. Because one of the most popular TV shows in the world has a character who has a thick Indian accent, and nobody talks about it, nobody worries about it, nobody says, I can't understand that guy. Okay? So, yeah. You don't need to sound perfect. You don't need to sound like me. You just need to sound clear. All right? So that's my main tip about pronunciation. Okay? All right. Next question. Describe out of pity. Caddy, the term out of pity would mean like you're doing something nice for someone because you feel bad about them or for them. Right? You feel bad somehow about them or for them. So you do something nice for them. That is called pity. Okay? Pity is so when you do something nice for somebody because you feel really bad for them, you have pity, and you're doing something for them out of pity. Okay? Because of pity. Just imagine the word out of just means because of. Okay? You're using AI for talking. Yeah, sure, Jose. It's better than nothing, and it's certainly... Let me put it to you this way, Jose. If you have 200... No, I'll even say more. If you have 500 speakers, native speakers in America, 500 of them, I'm going to guess that out of that 500 people, maybe 50 of them are really good speakers. And then out of those 50, maybe 10 of them are nice people. And then out of that 10, maybe 1 or 2 of them have a lot of time that they can talk with you. So that means that if you do find people to talk with, a lot of times they're too busy, or maybe they're not very good. So if you find somebody, I can find somebody for you right now. I'll find some 20-year-old kid who's sitting around doing nothing, playing video games all day, and maybe he'll talk to you. But his English will be terrible. Do you know why? Because he's a dumb 20-year-old kid playing video games all day. And you're talking to him, right? So that's why. Is AI perfect? No, but it's much better than some dumb kid playing video games all day. And it's available all the time. All right? So it's a great idea. Okay? Is it perfect? No, but it's far better than most of your other options. Okay? You remember my advice, we should try to practice English every day and use your mouth to be clear. That's right. Yeah, you need to open your mouth more when you speak. Because when you learn a language, any language, you have to learn the vocabulary, you have to learn the grammar, you have to learn the pronunciation. But you also have to learn the way to move your mouth. Every language has mouth movements that you need to pay attention to and learn. So when I change my language, I change my mouth movements. Are you thinking about that? Okay? Can minimalism help in language learning? Oh. I don't necessarily, I don't see how it would be particularly advantageous for you. Okay, I don't think so. I will say that minimalism can help in learning, period. Because there is one basic concept that is kind of like minimalism in learning. In learning, we often say KISS, K-I-S-S. And what does K-I-S-S mean? It means keep it simple, stupid. So sometimes people will say to you, hey man, KISS, K-I-S-S. And that means, hey dude, this is way too complicated. This is way too much. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay? So, that's kind of like a version of minimalism. Do I want to visit Vietnam? I very much want to visit Vietnam. I love Vietnamese food. I have seen pictures of Vietnam. Like, the beaches are supposed to be some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. I would love to know more about Vietnamese culture. I want to try Vietnamese coffee in Vietnam. I want to try pho in Vietnam. I want to try the banh mi is my favorite sandwich probably in the world. And for an American to say that, that's a lot. We love sandwiches, and we have a lot of sandwiches in America. But I think the banh mi is my favorite. Shanghai is easy for for foreigners because it, yeah. So Orlando, yeah, 我知道，可是我会说中文，所以就是没关系啊，没问题。Sure, Big Bang Theory is a pretty good show. It's a pretty good show for improving your English. I won't say it's perfect. I won't say it's the best, but it's pretty good, okay? What should I do if my mom doesn't believe in doctors and only believes in pseudoscience? Ah, that's hard, man. You mean like Chinese medicine, right? Like some of this, look, some of Chinese medicine is brilliant, and it has been brilliant for 1,000 years, 2,000 years. But, big but, there is a lot of Chinese medicine that is just total garbage. And any real Chinese doctor will tell you that. Okay, so like rhinoceros horn and tiger penis and all that stuff, that's total garbage. That's complete and total mythical garbage that somebody's just imagining in their head that it does something. It doesn't do anything unless you think it does. So it's hard, man. I don't know what to tell you. There's not a lot you can do for people like that. Unfortunately, information doesn't work on everybody. Knowledge doesn't work on everybody. There are some people who they form a rigid view of things, and there is a wall around that you can't get into. All right, so I wish I could give you some kind of advice, but I'm just, what does my advice mean anyway? Who am I? How can you improve your speaking and writing if you're an A2 level? Magda, I would say you need to have a system for learning. Do you have a good system? What is your system for practicing and studying reading? What is your system for practicing and studying writing? What is your system for grammar, for vocabulary? You need 8 systems. Okay, let me give you an article that will help you a little bit. Oh, no, not that one. this one. Okay, read that article. That is about the 8 parts of language and how you need to know what those are and have a plan for them. Okay? Well, Walid, kiss is, of course, the most basic word. Kiss means that's a kiss, Walid. But KISS is an acronym that means keep it simple, stupid. Okay, so most of the time when people talk about kissing, that's what they're talking about is that's kissing. Okay, KISS is an acronym that just means don't be so complicated. Okay? Hello, Zaki. Is Marxism famous in my country? We study all the things. Lots of people know about it. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. We study everything. We learn whatever you want to learn, learn. Oh, excuse me. My allergies are bad today. It's so cold. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. It's the difference between traditional medicine and modern medicine. Right, yeah. And like I said, there is a crossover. There are some things that have been done in Chinese medicine for a long time that are very, very real and valuable. But not all of it. And that's true for every culture. Every culture has had medicine that has had to, adjust. The things that we did in the West. We did all kinds of crazy things in the West medically. And there are still people who do crazy things medically. Just yesterday, there was a guy named, I won't say who his name was, but he was a famous guy. He was a cartoonist. He was a famous guy, and he died of cancer. Now, cancer's bad, and cancer does kill most people a lot of the time. Well, not every time. Depends on the cancer. But this guy didn't go to any real doctor, didn't do any real medicine. He took some kind of crazy alternative medicine, and he died very quickly. That's the kind of thing that's like, are you mentally ill? Why would you think you know more than doctors? Why? I'm a drummer. I know that doctors know more about medicine and science than I do. I know that. And I'm fine trusting that. I'm good with that. Okay, my sister's a doctor. My other sister's a nurse. And I believe that they know what they're doing. Okay, I see a lot of questions here. I'm going to try to answer them, but sometimes the questions you guys ask, I've answered too many times. So maybe you need to just listen or go watch some of my old videos, okay? Because sometimes I have to answer things too many times, and it's just too much, all right? I've been here a long time, all right? So, like somebody's asking about how to improve their accent, and I've already answered that twice today. You're stuck in the B2 level, Lei Ming Yu. Lei Ming Yu, the B2 level is a big level. That's why you feel stuck, okay? This is the way I think about every level, right? There's A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, right? But each one of those is like a neighborhood, all right? And the A1 neighborhood's pretty small. It's a small community, okay? You can learn about this community very quickly. You can know everybody in the community quickly, All right. The A2 level, also not too big, not too big. You can learn it pretty quickly. But the B1 and the B2 neighborhoods, those two neighborhoods, those are really big neighborhoods. So it takes a lot longer to get familiar with that neighborhood. All right, that's really the best way to think about it. Okay, B2 is it's a big neighborhood. It's a lot to be comfortable with. All right. Can you DM me? Sure you can. Yeah. Oh, are you talking about her? Okay, sure. You two talk to each other. It's a small world, sure. The young generation created some new words that are hard to understand. Orlando, every young generation creates words that are hard to understand. That's called slang. Okay? Like in China right now. What do they talk about now? I love those videos. 那个白人饭的. I love those. Those are funny. You know? It's basically, Bai Ren Fan means white people food. Basically, it means white people food. And it's funny. It's videos of Chinese people eating white people food. But Bai Ren Fan, that's a new term, right? That's a new term. If you told that to somebody 500 years ago, they wouldn't know it, right? Nora. Be nice, Nora. Do I have a dog? We do have a dog. He's upstairs. What's the strategy to reach C1? If you want to reach C1, then reach. What does reaching mean? What is reaching? What is reaching? It means you gotta... I'm reaching for it, right? So the question is, are you reaching? If you want to reach C1, then are you reaching? Because reaching is difficult. Reaching means you need to stretch out and try to get it. It's not close. It's far away. It's not easy to get. You have to reach. So that's what you have to do. If you want to reach the C1 level, then are you doing anything that's in the C1 level? Are you reading anything that's C1? Any C1 short stories or articles or books? Are you watching any C1 level videos? Are you, writing anything that's a C1 level article or story? Did you ask ChatGPT to tell you to give, to write some assignments that are C1 level? Okay? That's what you need to do. All right? If you are at the A1 level, then you should be trying to read some of things in the A2 level. If you are at the A2 level, then you should always be trying to read something in the B1 level. Right? So it's like when I was in grade school, in middle school, like when you're very young, they tell you what level your reading is, right? So maybe you're in the 3rd grade, but you read at a 6th grade level. Or maybe you're in the 6th grade, but you read at a high school level. You are reaching beyond your normal level. Okay, so that's the secret of reaching. You must reach. Okay? Do I know the SWT summer work trip for university students? I don't think I know that specifically, but if you're talking about like programs where you go to another country and do a job for a little bit, I'm familiar with a lot of those. I have friends who have done that. Did I have a lot of rich and delicious food today? I ate some for breakfast this morning. I quickly made some yummy scrambled eggs with a little bit of fontina cheese and ham on toast. That's a yummy, yummy meal. It's a very simple but yummy meal. Can people go out at night? Yeah, I go out at night all the time. Orlando. America's a really big place, man. Okay? Now, are there some places in America where it's dangerous to be at night? Yeah, sure there are. There's some bad neighborhoods. But I just don't go there. Then I'm fine. Okay? And when I say bad neighborhoods, I don't mean like black neighborhoods. Okay? There are a lot of neighborhoods that are not black neighborhoods that I would not feel safe in at night. All right? So, America's a very big place, and most of it is pretty safe most of the time. Okay? Yeah, I know there's a big stereotype about that, but it's a silly stereotype because we go out all the time. We go out more than you do. I know that because I lived there. Okay? We go out to parties. We go out to bars and clubs and restaurants and all those things all the time. You know? Nobody is staying inside like, oh no, we have to hide because it's so dangerous outside. Nobody is being like that. Okay? If you are very poor, then maybe you happen to live in a very dangerous area. And maybe it's a little bit dangerous and you have to live by different rules. Okay? But that's a pretty small amount. That's a pretty small area. That's a pretty small number. And it's also true just about everywhere in the world. Okay? Just about everywhere in the world, I can find a bad neighborhood where I won't feel safe. Okay? I have 0 guns. 0. None. Most Americans don't have guns. Did you know that? It's true. I know you think we all have lots of them, but no, it's not true. Okay? I don't. No, as far as I know, nobody in my family does. As far as I know. A lot of what you hear about America is not exactly true. Okay? Don't believe everything you hear. I have my own business. Well, I mean, I am my own business. Yes, I'm a self-employed teacher. What is the meaning of pragmatic? Pragmatic means to do things that are logical, reasonable, and rational. So you're thinking about the most logical, reasonable, and rational thing to do, then that's the pragmatic thing to do. Okay? He's got drums. Why does he need guns? That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. Another stereotype that you heard is Americans are very interested in gambling, so they go to casinos every weekend. I have been... okay, let me think about this. So, when I was a young boy, my family went on a vacation one time, and we drove all the way to the West Coast. We drove all the way to California. And on the way there, we stopped in Las Vegas. and we saw Las Vegas. And we also went to Reno, too. Both of those are casino places. But, one, I was under 18, okay? Two, my parents, I don't think they did any gambling at all in either city when we were there, okay? Three, my city, there are a couple of casinos. There's one downtown and there's another one. There are maybe 2 or 3 casinos in the area that you can go to. And I even know a friend of mine, Clay, who worked at one of them. The guy who is one of my assistants here. Sometimes he comes to join me here on my live streams. He used to work at a casino. But I don't know anybody who goes to a casino regularly, definitely. I'm sure that I know some people who have gone to casinos just to go, once or twice to have some fun, but I definitely don't know anybody who goes regularly. Okay, no, it's not. That is not a common form of entertainment, I don't think. Okay? It's interesting that people still believe in such things despite technology. My friends in Canada asked if camels still roam the streets in Turkey. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that's exactly the kind of thing. It's right. But ID, that's why it's not about technology. Technology is not always the problem. 100 years ago, you could still learn about if that were true or not. You could learn it. But it wasn't about technology. It was about curiosity. So some people have curiosity and they go find out. And many people don't have curiosity and they never find out. That's the problem. So that's why today we still have many, many people who have very strange ideas about other worlds, other places, other people, other cultures, right? They don't have a real idea. They have a fantasy idea. But it's because they're not curious. They don't go look. They don't go ask somebody. Yeah. Okay, next question. Let's see. And I think I want to get somebody up on stage here in a little bit. Let me check on my YouTube people. Hello over here, my YouTube people. Vocabulary that we use at home is different from vocabulary we use in formal settings. Native speakers don't use formal words. How to choose words. So, AB, the vocabulary that you use depends on where you live and who you're around. Okay? So, if your mother and father are professors at a university, then I'm sure the vocabulary that you live, that your house has, right, that you grew up with, that vocabulary is much different than maybe some other person who their father is just, I don't know, maybe he's just a mechanic, or he's I shouldn't say just, he's a mechanic, right? He's a mechanic and he's or a farmer or something, right? They will have a different set of vocabulary. Okay? And then if you're younger, then maybe you use that vocabulary from that generation. If you're older, you use that vocabulary. So, the vocabulary you use depends on you personally. Okay? So, for example, right now, I'm in teacher mode. This is teacher mode. I am teacher Mark right now. So, when I am teacher Mark, I definitely use different vocabulary, different language. Okay? But when I'm with my band and I'm hanging out with my band and we're playing rock and roll and just having fun, I don't speak exactly like this. No. I use a lot more bad language. and I'm a lot more casual with them, and I use a lot more loose, informal language with them. But if I go to an office or if I go to a university, I adjust my language for that place. This is one problem that many people have. Some people think language is part of your identity and so you should never change your language. I think that's stupid. I think you can make language part of your identity, but you can also not. You can say language is just a way of communicating. It doesn't have to be a rigid part of my character. So, how can you choose the right words? Choose the words that you need in your life. So whatever words you use in your native language, those are the words you need in English. Okay? You need assistance for an interview with an examiner for the IELTS for Oxford. Okay, I don't know how I can assist you with that. Karam, I would say you need to just do your best, be confident, believe in yourself, prepare as much as you can, okay? Wake up early, have a good breakfast, go have a nice walk, clear your head, okay? And maybe if you have a week, right? If you have a week, if it's next week, then this next week, I want you to do everything you can to be playful with English. That's the key. When you're doing any speaking test, one of the things they're looking for is, can you be playful with language? Can you be playful with English? If you can play with it, then you know it. That's what they're looking for. All right? Why don't I stream at night? Because I'm busy and I have a life and I have other things to do. And you don't pay me. In order to learn words, or in order to communicate with native speakers, I need to learn words irrespective of their status. Just learn, man. Stop worrying. You're thinking too much. You're thinking too much. Just learn vocabulary and speak. Stop worrying so much about this, do I have the right words? The words you learn are the right words. Okay? So do cowboys and villagers speak different dialects? Is it hard to understand their English? For me, if you're talking about me, do I have a difficult time understanding other people in America from other places? Like, if you live in Texas or, you're a cowboy or you're, a farmer in Oklahoma or something like that, I will probably understand you. Yeah. I think 99% at least. Okay? Yeah. Can I pronounce the words biology, sociology, psychology, and restaurant? Biology. Biology. Sociology, psychology, and restaurant. How can people learn multiple languages at the same time? It's hard. Learning one language is hard, so of course learning two languages is harder. You can do it, but it's not always a good idea. And if you do it, you need to understand. You are choosing to learn two languages. Choosing to learn one language is difficult, but now you're making your life very difficult because you want to learn two. I'm not saying you can't, but I am saying you should just understand it's more difficult. Okay? Do I feel the British accent is hard to understand? No, for most of them. But again, America has at least 30 different accents. The UK also has many, many accents, at least 30, I'm sure. Okay? So the majority of people in the UK, I will understand. But, QQ, I went to Spain recently, a year or so ago, I went to Spain. And when I was in Madrid, I was going to the museum, and there was a guy behind me who was from Scotland. And we started talking, and it was the most difficult conversation I have ever had with anybody who was a native speaker. His accent was the strongest accent I've ever heard. Scotland, especially if you're from the more blue-collar working part of Scotland, they have a lot of slang. A lot of slang, and their accent is so strong that it really was a struggle for me. I really had to listen carefully and think about it before I replied. I had to process his language. But that's the only time that's ever really happened to me. Okay, and yeah, the Scottish accent is one of the more difficult of the accents to understand for anybody, even for us. Okay? American people. What is that? Larry, I'm not sure. I can't really see what you said. Us something. You have an emoji, but I can't see. What is that emoji? Oh, I think I know what that is, and that is also a stereotype. Yeah, that's also a stereotype. Okay? Can I pronounce the word exit and exits? Okay? So, the second word, the plural form, there could be two possible ways to pronounce it. Exit is the first one, but the second one, some people might say exits, okay, just like adding an S to the first one. But there are some people who kind of turn it into a Z sound, and it becomes exits. Okay, so it could be exits or exits. Both are acceptable pronunciations. Okay? Tyson Fury. I don't know who Tyson Fury is. He's a British boxer, so I don't know anything about boxers. So I have no idea. I've never heard him before. I don't pay attention to sports. Do I teach private lessons? I do, Romulus. Here is my YouTube channel. Here's my website. And Romulus, on my website, you can go buy lessons from me. You can sign up for lessons and buy lessons from me. And I also have a blog here. You know what's funny? I was just thinking about HelloTalk. Like, how do I feel about HelloTalk? Is HelloTalk a good app, or do I like HelloTalk? And the words that popped into my head right now are, I like HelloTalk, and I really think HelloTalk is a great app, but 90% of the things that are great on HelloTalk are things that they had 5 years ago. So just about all of the things that they've done that in the last 5 years, I don't really care about. Except for the live streams and the voice rooms. But nearly everything else, I don't really see the point. I mean, other than making money. I see the point for them. But for me, as a learner, I don't see the point. Okay, what do I think about metal or heavy metal music? Waleed, I'm a drummer, man. I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin, John Bonham, and, AC/DC, and Van Halen, and, Iron Maiden. I grew up on all that stuff. Symphony X is later. I grew up on, the early stuff. Sabbath, that kind of stuff, right? So what do I think about it? I like music, okay? So let me tell you the best quote about music that you can hear. There's a famous jazz composer. His name was Duke Ellington. Very, very famous American jazz musician, okay? And he said, there are only two kinds of music. Good music and the other kind. That's how I feel about music. Okay? So I can listen to any kind of music, any style of music. I don't care what style of music it is. But that doesn't mean I will like everything. No. It still has to move me. It has to make me feel something. So if it makes me feel something, then I might like it. But not everything does. I'm a very critical person, actually. Most music I don't like. You're a linguistics student. Which book is good for reading? Maddie, that depends. I don't know what you're asking me. Are you asking me what books are good for linguistics? Or are you asking me what books are good for reading in general? Or just for English? Like, I'm not sure what you're asking. You're curious about that. What changed that made you feel like this? Hajar, just that, I think that they just reached a point where they weren't making that much money because it's an educational app. At that time, it was an educational app. And educational apps don't make that much money. And the only ways that they could make a lot of money as an educational app required a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of, it would have been hard, okay? But then they decided, but it'd be a lot easier to make money if we just start making it more like a social media app, not like an educational app. So that's really all it is that all the things that they added that make it more like a social media app, like 5 years ago when you went to the Moments, you didn't see any pictures of pretty people at the gym. Half-dressed pretty people at the gym. You didn't see that 5 years ago on Hello Talk. It wasn't allowed. You were not allowed to do any kind of a selfie that looked desperate. Okay, so 5 years ago, desperate selfies were not allowed on Hello Talk. Now, Hello Talk is full of desperate selfies. It's pathetically full of desperate selfies. Look at how pretty I am. I worked at the gym and look at my ass. My ass is so nice. Look at how nice of an ass I have. So desperate. Please like me. Please tell me I'm good enough. Please tell me I'm pretty. So there are many things, but that's one of them. You hate to read notes when you're practicing piano, and you hate to learn new words when you're learning English. Okay, Libra, I can understand that, because that's how I felt about piano when I first learned piano. I took piano lessons when I was a boy, like 8, 9, 10 years old. And I hated it because the teacher would make me only do what was in the book, nothing else. And yeah, that was boring and sucks. But you cannot, I don't think it's a good comparison to say it's the same thing when you're learning new words in English. Or, I should say, if that is the comparison that you're using, then that means that you need to find a more fun way to learn words. There are lots of fun ways to learn words. You're not doing them. Why not? Start doing the fun ways to learn words. Okay? How long did it take me to reach intermediate level of Chinese? Well, I've been doing Chinese for a long time. Like, I don't know, more than 10 years. I think I started feeling kind of comfortable with it maybe around 2020. I started feeling comfortable around 2020, 2021. Okay, but I studied it for a long time before that. Okay? You used to practice Fats Waller. Oh, that's awesome. I went to jazz school eons ago. What do you think about social media and this phenomenon where people don't really talk to each other anymore? I think that there are two different kinds of social skills, and you need to be able to do both. And one is a digital social media skill, okay, which is what you're doing now. But the other one is a real life skill of social action, social interaction, I should say, okay? And the truth is that, yeah, there are a lot of socially awkward people now because they know how to do digital social media, but they don't know how to do real social life. They're not confident and they're not comfortable because they don't spend enough time in real social life. So what do I think, Nadia? What I think is, that's your problem. I think that if you don't know how to do those things, that's why don't you know? Why don't you know? Why didn't you figure it out? Why don't you feel a sense of responsibility to know? You know? That's what I think. Right? Like, people don't know how to introduce themselves anymore. I always have an advantage over just about everybody that I meet because I know how to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Mark. Nice to meet you. I'm from America. I'm a musician and English teacher. How are you? You would be surprised how many people cannot do that in any language. Okay, so again, somebody's asking, how can I be fluent? How can I be fluent? If you want to read these 3 articles, then you can be fluent. If you don't read them, that's your problem. There's one article, The 8 Parts of Language. Here's another article, How to Think in English, The Complete Guide to Thinking in English. And here is another article. Where is it? This one. How to learn vocabulary. Read those 3 articles. Okay? Okay, again, Saeed, lots of people think they are stuck when they're at the intermediate level, but most of the time you're not stuck. You just haven't gotten to the end yet. Okay? So here's what I want you to think about. A1 to A2, that's about 200 miles. Okay, A2 to B1, that's about 500 miles. Okay, B1 to B2, that's about 1,500 miles. And B2 to C1, that's about 2,000 miles. So you feel like, oh, I'm stuck. But no, you're not stuck, man. It's just a long distance. It takes a long time to get to the end of that road. Okay? You're able to read advanced books like Dostoevsky, but you feel your speaking is still too... okay, so Romulus, that's normal in any language. It's often normal. You usually have more opportunity to study the reading and listening of another language than the speaking part, because you probably don't live in that community or that language, right? So that's normal. And if that's normal, it's not something to worry about. It's something to work on. Okay? So don't worry about it. Do work on it. Okay? What magazine is popular with people in America? Magazines are not that popular anymore at all. Nobody buys magazines. I mean, everything is digital now, right? So everything is online. You want to improve your English through reading? Tell me what topics you like to read about, and then maybe I'll tell you where to go. Okay? If you write the Hello Talk team got greedy, they can ban you for this. I don't think they will. I don't think they're that petty. It's not entirely untrue. They got a little bit greedy. I won't call it greedy. I think that they just lost focus too much. They lost focus too much, and they focused so much on trying to make money that they forgot that this was supposed to be a good app. And you can't have both. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't have quick money and a good app. You can have a good app with low money over a long time, and then eventually you'll make a lot of money, but not until, 25 years later. That's how education works. Okay, it's not a big money business. This is part of the problem that we have in society today, is everybody wants every business to make all the money. But guess what? Not every business has the same amount of social value. And when you create certain businesses that make an extremely obscene amount of money that have no social value, then you distort the social value of everything. So now, teachers don't have the respect that they deserve because we don't get paid enough. And if we don't get paid, you don't respect it. Because you only respect people who have a lot of money now. Because that's the way the world works. I don't respect people based on their bank account. I respect people based on their brain and their behavior. Sight reading. Yeah, I hated sight reading too. Everybody does. Well, most people do. Okay, next. How to improve punctuation. GPT. ChatGPT. That's one of the best ways to work on your punctuation. Okay? Cambridge announced its word of the year, parasocial. Ooh, I didn't hear about that. Okay, let's see. You're interested in UX and edutech at the same time. I feel sort of the same way. Right, yeah. You ask yourself that question when you get up in the morning, right? Yeah, I know, right? How was Hello Talk 12 years ago? It was really basic 12 years ago, but it was still awesome. I remember I joined when they didn't even have 1 million followers around the world yet. You know, I think I joined the app about 6 months after they started. So, yeah. It has grown a lot and changed a lot. That's one of the other problems that I have told them many times. If I go into a restaurant and that restaurant has a menu that is 20 pages long with 500 different items, I know that none of them are good. Because no one restaurant can do 500 things well. And every good chef, that's the first thing a good chef would do. They would come in and say, we're going to cut this menu 99%. We're going to do 10 things. That's it. But when you see a menu that has only 10 things, you assume they better do those 10 things well. Right? They're going to do those 10 things well. Like, there's a burger place. There's a burger place in New York City that I really want to try. They have a burger that's only $2.55. It's the cheapest meal you can get in New York City. But it is supposed to be one of the best burgers that you've ever had. But the reason is because they do it in a way where they're focused on what matters, and they're not focused on... They're just focused on doing one thing really well. And now everybody knows. You know? So that's important when you're... I'm a musician. I'm a musician and I'm a drummer. And as a drummer, I have studied many, many kinds of music. Okay? I can play rock and jazz and blues and funk and Latin and pop and... Indian music and classical music and African music. I can play many kinds of music, but not all of them. I can't play all of them, one, and some of them maybe I don't do as well. Okay? Like, for example, Slipknot, the band Slipknot. Can I play the drum parts from that band? Probably. If I sat down and practiced it for a minute, I probably could play those parts. But I won't feel good doing it. I won't feel right doing it. It doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel natural. Okay? So when I'm learning music, even I have to know my own limitations and focus on what I can do and not try to be everything. Nobody can be everything. Okay? And that's right, quality over quantity. Sometimes I randomly remember a really embarrassing moment that I had years ago, and I wish I could travel back and throw myself out the window. Yeah, Larry, we all do that. We all do that. Lei Ming Yu, I'm not in China now. I'm in the United States now. I lived in Taiwan for 4.5, about 5 years. We'll call it 5 years. What does the obscene and obscene amount of money mean? It means too much. Like, nobody should have that amount. It's obscene. It means disgusting. Like, what is wrong with you? That's obscene. Why did I join Hello Talk? Because I was learning Chinese. And I downloaded 30 different apps. I downloaded every app I could find to help me learn Chinese. Maybe you don't have that wide of a vocabulary. Do I have any recommendations? Something related to life? Maybe novels like that. Not history, not science. Let me think about that for a minute. QQ. So, QQ, you said you don't have that wide of a vocabulary. So when you say that, can you, if I gave you something that's a high school level reading, do you think you could handle a high school level, American high school level reading? Or would that be too difficult for you? Okay, so if you think you can handle that, this book might be a little difficult at times, but I think it's a great book. It's one of my favorites. And it's just, it's a classic. It's called The Count of Monte Cristo. And it's by Alexander Dumas. That book is cool because it has a little bit of something for everybody, right? So it's a romance novel. It's a novel about friendship and betrayal. It's a novel about revenge. It's a novel about class warfare, rich people and poor people. It's a novel about pirates and treasure. And yeah, it's got a little bit of something for everybody. And there are a few different movie versions also. There was one movie version made in the 90s, I think, that was really good. You're not a fan of Slipknot. I'm not either. I only mention them because I know that a lot of people are a fan of their music and that it's very difficult, heavy drumming. Can I play drums today? I don't think I have time today. I'm sorry. I have to go teach a drum lesson here shortly. I'm going to go teach a lesson in drums here in about 20 minutes. I'm going to be leaving. So I don't have time. Sorry, Cider. Let's see. They need to make user interviews with such... Yeah, I know, Hajar, but again, I think that they don't really... I'm not their demographic. I am not who they're marketing to. So I don't think they're that interested in my opinions anymore. They used to listen to everything I said, and they did it very, very graciously. But now I think that we've just parted ways. You know, like I still am a teacher, and I'm only interested in teaching and education. I'm not interested in all these stupid games. I'm not interested in all these stupid little coins and all that childish stuff. I'm an adult man. I don't want an app that looks like it's for a 12-year-old girl. That's the problem. Okay? No offense to 12-year-old girls. Was I interested in languages since I was a child? Yeah, I think maybe not just languages, but culture. Yeah. Laming you. I can remember when I was in the third grade. In the third grade, we had an awesome homework assignment. Everybody in class had to go home and find out what your parents' heritage is. You know, where do your parents' come from, right? Where did you originally come from? Because almost everybody in America is from someplace else, right? So we had to go home and find out where are you from. You write a little, short little paper about it. But then the cool thing was they said, cook something from your culture. Cook food from your culture and then bring it in the next day. So everybody would cook something from their culture and bring it in, and we all shared. So we had Mexican food, and we had Russian food, and Chinese food, and Japanese food, and we had French food, and German food, and Slovakian food, and Irish food, and we had all kinds of food there, and it was awesome. And that's when I realized that, wow, look, culture is cool. I like Mexican food. That's yummy. I like Turkish food, too. How about that? Baklava, that's yummy, too. Right? So that's when I started getting interested in cultures. And then I became a musician, and I became also, again, interested in culture, the culture of music everywhere. I have listened to music from all over. Why have I stuck with this app? Because it's still a good app. It still has a good basic function. I just don't use most of the stuff on the app. You know, I just ignore most of the things that are on the app. Really, what they should do is this app should be 3 apps. There should be a social media version of HelloTalk, an educational version of HelloTalk, and then a separate version where they put all of their classes and courses and all of that extra stuff. But instead, they have one app which has way too much stuff, and nobody on the app knows how to use all of it. Who's my favorite Chinese singer? I don't really have one. I would probably say Jay Chou, only because he grew up in the same city that I first moved to when I lived in Taiwan. I moved to Taiwan and I was living in a small city outside of Taipei called Linkou, and that's where Jay Chou is from. And everybody was talking about him. He was very popular then. He was very, very popular at that time. That was around 2020. No, sorry. That was around 2009. 2010. Yeah, much earlier. Sorry, wrong. My head didn't think correctly. Yeah, so Jay Chou, probably. Plus, he plays drums, and he plays piano, and he sings. He's pretty talented. He's a drummer and a pianist, just like me. I mean, I'm not a good piano player at all, but yeah. Judging by the fact that I can read the characters of your name, my Chinese reading is still very, very poor because I never practice it. I should, but I just haven't. I did for a while, but I dropped it, and now it's mostly gone. So, yeah. Do I like Russian food? Again, Jana, I would say I like food, and food is like music. There are only 2 kinds of food. Good food and the other kind. So, some Russian food, sure. You know, like a good blini is delicious, right? I'm not the biggest fan of borscht, but I've had a good borscht before. Yeah. You're trying to memorize vocabulary. Then you're doing the wrong thing. Don't memorize vocabulary. Read this instead. Your favorite singer is Chris Cornell from Black Hole Sun, won't you come wash away the rain, right? That one. Would you please like to tell us whether you use any other language learning apps? Currently, no. Currently, okay? My job now mostly is just teaching, so I'm not focused that much on learning for me, okay? If I were, I would go on to the App Store and I would search through all of the apps and I would find the 20 best apps that are available and get them, okay? So do a little research. Go online and read articles about all the best apps for language learning. If you just do a little bit of research, and now it's so easy, you can ask ChatGPT to help you do the research, right? So ask ChatGPT to help you do the research to find the 20 best apps for language learning today, okay? Where are my ancestors from? My mother's family is from Ireland and England, and my father's family is from Slovakia. Which American app do I think is good for watching videos and vlogs to improve English? Probably YouTube. YouTube, you know? TikTok is very famous, but I'll be honest with you, I never use TikTok. I don't use any of the short form video apps. None of them. So I use Facebook, but I don't use Reels. I use, what's the other one? Instagram, but I don't use their little short videos, whatever they're called. I use YouTube, but I don't use the 1 minute shorts. I don't use short videos because short videos will make you stupid. Now we have proof of that. They actually have studies. They have studies. Yeah, short videos now cause brain rot. Definitely. That's the number one worst thing on the internet right now is the short videos. Okay? Ben, 你可以用，可是你需要用梯子，你知道啊。Yes, I need to go, guys. Thank you, blaming you about my drum lesson to remind me. It's been an hour and a half now, so it's time for me to go. I want to make sure I say, oh, hello, Miguel over there. Hello, hello, hello. Have I ever tried Colombian food? I don't think I've tried anything that is specifically Colombian. You know, like I've had a lot of foods that are kind of in that region, right? You know, like empanadas and, you know, things like that. But I'm not sure if I've had something that's specifically Colombian or not. I would love to try. I want to say maybe I did. I want to say there was a food truck I went to that was a Colombian food truck once, but I can't remember what I had. Okay, I must go because I have to go teach a drum lesson, but thank you guys for coming. Here is my YouTube channel. If you don't have my YouTube channel, here's my YouTube channel. And here is my website. And here is my blog. Okay? Okay, my favorite cuisine. I'll probably say Italian. I love Italian food. But I don't know. It's so hard to say. Okay, I must go. But I'll be back. I'll be back. Tomorrow, I should be here. I should be, I think. Unless I have a private lesson. But I think I don't. So I should be here tomorrow. So have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. And come back and see me again next time. Okay? Bye, everybody.